Welcome to the brand new show, the Gary Pascoe Show, presented by Your Instant Replay. Grassroots football is coming back, and if you're not getting your games filmed by Your Instant Replay, you're doing something wrong. Their team will turn up, film your games using all their top of equipment, and will deliver full game footage, highlights, social media clips the very same day. So book your game today at yourinstantreplay.co.uk. Right, let's tell you about my new show I've got. In the coming weeks and months, I'll be chatting to managers, players, chairmen, supporters, volunteers, and hopefully getting people who are running our game on this show just to have a chat and talk about what they're doing and how we're going to go forward because of this season we've just had. So my first guest on my show is Dartford manager Steve King. Good evening, Steve, and welcome.
Good evening, mate.
Thanks for coming to my show. I really do appreciate it.
No problem, mate.
Right, let's start the show with probably the biggest question. Some probably say disaster. Some others might say sensible decision to stop the National League South and North Division playing football. I know you've been, I want your thoughts on it. I know you've been quite vocal about it. So I'd just like to hear what you've got to say, basically.
I think disaster, the way they've gone about it. I made that pretty clear. I think it wasn't handled very well. I think if you've got any organisation, if I'm working and I've got a group of men and I'm the controller, I'll give good instructions of what they need to do, when they need to do it and how they need to do it. We never had that guidance. They wanted all the people to get together, 17 or 18 people that clubs that decided they wanted to carry on, just threw them in a room, Zoom call, never met any of them in their lives, go and make a decision. Well, they should have been sitting on that decision process, thrown things around. They came up with a plan, so it was put around all the clubs, and they all kind of, some agreed, didn't agree, but they felt it was a starting point. Well, what the conference ended up doing was taking that starting point as the gospel one and only point, and presenting that to the Alliance Committee, which was never going to get through. Ever was that ever going to get through? So, but you look for guidance there. You look for the conference to say, okay, we've looked at that. It looks good, but there's a few things that is not quite right with that. We don't think that'll get through because of X. Yeah. So, okay, then we go back to the table, we bat it around, and we see where we are. Can we put something a little bit more that ain't got that or that, and let's see if we can get this through. But we didn't have that. Then there was some people say we should do it this way, that way, whatever way, and it should have been guided by them, the way that they knew it was possibly going to get through. Yeah. So that's why I said all along they didn't want it to go through, and they were just playing lip service. That's the way my thoughts on it.
You said about 2 or 3 weeks ago in an article that you thought the National League would carry on playing, but the other two divisions would stop. You called that, didn't you?
Yeah, I just knew it.
What happened? What made you think that then?
Just information I gather myself, being in it a long time, just seeing moves that people were making. The moves wasn't good. The moves wasn't the right moves. I felt that the way it was just all moving. If you wanna sort something out, you can sort it out. You do the right moves. You don't just throw it in there and then walk away from it and say you lot sort it out, because they knew that was never getting through.
Sure.
You couldn't. How you could give someone at the bottom of the league on 12 points, 20 points, and the team that's top, second, third, fourth, that's on XY points, and drop them 10 points.
Yeah.
So that team is then within six. The bottom team, who are 24 points behind you, all of a sudden they're 6 points behind you. They've only got to win 2 games in that week, and you lose 2. All of a sudden they're in the playoffs. Yeah. And then there's teams that have been 7th in the league that have won playoffs, and the team that's second have lost the playoffs, and there's 20 points between them.
Sure.
So if you're giving that much advantage to a team that's at the bottom, that was never going to get through, and I knew that was never going to get through.
Now I saw the league table they had on Twitter the other day, how it was going to look, and that's I couldn't believe it myself. Mind you, I did speak to you the week before, and I spoke to other people as well, and they were thinking it was going to go ahead, but not in that format.
Yeah, I was believing it was going to go ahead in a points per game, but on the points that you've got. So you combine that with the North over an average 15 games, and you use those points. But that meant the teams at the bottom wouldn't have 20 points.
Yeah.
And the question was then, would they pull out?
Yeah, exactly.
And my thing to that was, I don't think they will, because I think there was a big thing about the loans, and I think some of those clubs were staying in for those reasons.
Yeah.
So I don't think they would have jumped ship, because it was important to get their club back on an even foot, and they needed the loan. So if your league was going to carry on in the North and your league was going to carry on in the South, you would have carried on the points you was on anyway. So why all of a sudden you couldn't carry on a points per game on the points that they were on anyway?
Sure.
Why give them more points?
Yeah.
So, but they're the things that should have been guided to us and say, look, that's not going to get through like that. We need to make a little tweak to that, or we need to put that to the clubs that are staying in to see if we can change that. We may get it through, but we didn't.
Sure.
Something was put to the table, knowing full well it was going to get turned away, and that was it.
But they're having a meeting tomorrow, are they, again? Is that correct? No, might be wrong then. No, obviously wrong then.
Not that our league's done and dusted.
Done and dusted, right? Okay.
But the things haven't been ratified.
No, exactly. No, that's maybe
the first one wasn't even ratified.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing that it's not necessarily our league that's going to be ratified. It's the other leagues that are going to be ratified.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, I've said all along that there should be relegation and promotion in every division.
Sure.
And that meant out of our league as well. But as soon as the Ryman League decided it's null and void and there's going to be no promotion and relegation, you then couldn't relegate out of our league. So that's why I said what I said regarding the National League. There should be relegation into our division. And there should be relegation out of our division. But if that league stopped, then there's nowhere for it to go.
Cool.
So,
but what do you think? Well, I was going to ask you this later on, but you brought it up. What's going to happen to Dover Athletic? What's your thoughts? I don't know if you might have spoken to someone. I don't know if you know, but what's going to happen to Dover?
It's going to go one or two ways. It's 50-50, isn't it? It's either going to go, they're going to get thrown out of the league, or they're going to go to an independent meeting, which they will do anyway, and explain why they've stopped playing and the finances they stopped, etc., etc. And then anything could happen. They get sanction points, big fines, or thrown out of the league. It's going to be one of those options. So they're going to go to an independent committee. You can look at that in all different ways, can't you?
It's still messy, isn't it? It is still a lot of mess. I was going to ask you that question. I know some clubs are going down, maybe not the legal route, but looking into things about sponsorship, season tickets, all the different things that they have to lay out. Is your club Dartford doing exactly the same?
Exactly that. We got.
Are they really?
Yeah, we got. As in, I mean, season ticket holders.
Yeah.
We've gone out to season ticket holders and said various different options we give them. Because we had 300, 400, 500 season ticket holders. So that's a lot of money that the club have. Yeah. That we have to try and find to give it back if they want to go, if supporters want to go down that route. But I mean, our supporters have been very good and want to hold it over or do certain things to help the club, because it's a unique situation.
Sure.
But they're not even thinking about that. The conference, they just went bang, null and void, and everybody's like, whoa.
Yeah, what's going on there? Yeah. So what happens about sponsors? Do they? I know you might not be get involved in Dartford that way, but are they asking, well, can you roll it over to another 6 months or whatever?
I really don't know on that side, Gal. I don't get involved with that side of things, but I can imagine what sort of clubs are saying. I mean, where are we going to find that sort of money? We've had no fans.
And would that affect a budget?
Exactly. We've had no fans, and I think the steady rise in the 18 months I've been at the club, I think we would have been nearing 1,500 fans minimum.
Oh, yeah.
So we were getting 1,300 towards the back end, and I think where we was and how we sort of started, I think we would be getting sort of 1,500 fans. So, the money we got off the funding, that was just for 3 months. So, what we're going to do now, sort of thing.
I did ask this question to someone else, another manager. Do you feel a little bit let down by some clubs within the National League South, like they were voting for you, then they backed away, and some clubs that didn't want to play never really came out and supported the teams that wanted to play, or you just felt that everybody was in there doing it for themselves and didn't give a monkeys about anyone else?
The last one.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's all self-gain.
Yeah.
I think it's all self-gain. I think it's if you've got a chance, you want to carry on. If you're at the bottom, why would you want to carry on unless there was an incentive, i.e. what I thought was the loans was an incentive, because you could only get those loans if you carried on playing.
Sure.
Majority of the loans have gone to the National Prem.
Yeah.
And, that was another fiasco in itself. You can have loans. No, you can't. It's against our rules. So you can't have a loan. And you're thinking, well, you've told us to take a loan. And then they said, let us know if you're going to take a loan, if you take it. And so we know that. And it was just completely messed up. And hardly anybody got them in our league, is what I'm hearing.
Sure.
People got turned down in the National League as well, but majority got loans in the National League.
Yeah, yeah.
Otherwise they wouldn't be carrying on.
No.
Because there's big money in that division to carry on.
Yeah, but I heard one manager say the other day that if they don't win a game, they're going to furlough his players and put the youth or the young lads.
Well, what incentives have they got now? There's no relegation.
Exactly.
They could furlough the whole team and put the youth team out if they want to.
And that's what he said.
So there's no integrity in that league then, is there?
No.
So the minute there's no relegation, you can play who you want.
Definitely. It'd be interesting to see what they put in place for next season, because no doubt about it, we're going to have a spurt of this COVID again, no doubt about it, like we do with flu. So I'd love to know what they're going to put in place to help the clubs, because something needs to be addressed pretty sharpish.
Well, they were going to do it last year.
Exactly.
For this year.
And
they didn't. How can you not?
Exactly.
It was like the loans, the 11 million loan over the 3 months. How did you not know what was going to happen after those 3 months? I know they were thinking fans are coming back, but surely if you go and close a deal, it ain't an £11 deal or 11 grand deal, it's 11 million. So how, if you're closing a deal, have you not already got it in paperwork to say, right, we know what's happening this month, this month, this month?
Sure.
You would close that off, surely. You wouldn't leave it to a question mark, knowing what could happen to the whole of the football. I know the reason why they done it, because they felt 100% January there was going to be fans back, because that's what was said in government. But the second spike came, and they were like, "Oh, what? Where do we go from here?"
Yeah, didn't know what to do, did they? No. Well, so about you. Obviously, you've been at Dartford now 17, 18 months.
Yeah.
So when Dartford came calling, what was it? What that made you feel that you could manage that club and wanted to push that club forward? What was it they not offered you, but what you felt the club could do?
I think it is a sleeping club. It's a sleeping club. You had Tony Burnham there, who'd done unbelievable things for them, took them right through to the National League. To follow him was a hard gig because of how well he'd done. They went to a couple of coaches like Jamie Coyle and Adam Flanagan. Adam had done one manager's job at Concord, and Jamie was a player. So
sure.
Both really nice guys, and they joined together. I think Tony had them as players, so he knew their characters and all that, and I think they would come in and do the job and then maybe lean on Tony a little bit for his experience and all that sort of stuff. A club of Dartford size, you've got to be pushing playoffs. You've got to every single year, no matter what. And so they should. The setup, the ground, the facilities, the way the club's run, the fan base, the whole thing. They got near to getting in the playoffs first year, and then the second year they were right down near the bottom. And when I took over, I think they were joint 5th bottom. So it was just I had 2 or 3 options to go to different clubs.
Yeah, I know.
But I just felt that was best suited, and it was down to me to maybe try and progress. Everything's there. You're not wanting for facilities or ground, or there's many a time I've been at clubs where the ground ain't up to standard, it can't go up because of this XYZ, but they had everything ticked all the boxes. And it was important that I'd done a little bit of, as crazy as it may seem, because I really liked the club and everything, but I'd done my own homework. They ticked all the boxes. They do what's on the tin. If you're getting £1, you get £1. You don't get 50p.
Yeah.
So every box that that I made my own inquiries, it ticked. So I thought, what a great club. And being there 18 months, I realised what a great club. They
Really?
do everything that's on the tin. Everything. They don't promise you nothing that you ain't going to get. They don't give you something right up there. They set it there. Financially, it's good. It's a good, it's a top 10 budget, definitely. And they do what they can do. Not the worst players, not the best, but just in the right area, and they do what they can do. And I bought into that. That's brilliant. I rather be with someone that does what's on the tin than promise you the earth and it doesn't happen. So from that point of view, he treated me fantastically. And listen, I know it all comes with you winning and you're doing well and you get everything. The football's good. Everything bounces off of that. So yeah, I've had a really, really good time since I've been there.
They're not a sort of club just get rid of the man. I'm not saying they will, but they're not a sort of club that get rid of managers willy-nilly, are they? They want to keep continuity, and that's most important about football, isn't it?
And that's what I want.
Yeah.
I don't want to be, looking for the next job and the next job. For me, it's if they think I'm the right person, then reward that. Take the club. We want you to take the club on. Tony managing, I might get this wrong, but at least 10 years there, 10 to 15 years he's been there. He loves the club to pieces. He is the face of the club, and everything he does is with the heart for the club.
Sure.
Which is good. He's a good football person. There's many a club I've been to I couldn't sit and have a chat with a football guy. It's pretty lonely being a manager, but I'll be honest with you, when the times are good and the times are bad, you're on your own. Talk to coaches and that, but to have an owner, not an owner, but someone within the club that's got the best interest of the club and understands football, is good. So we have little chats now and again, and they're good chats, they're good football chats. But it's good.
Good. You must be pleased. Well, I know. I think the season lasted 18 weeks, so. When the season stopped, you were sitting second, fair enough, but previous to that, you were top for most of the 18 weeks, weren't you? So you must have been very happy how your season was going, because obviously the last year, you lost in the semi-final on penalties, you're on the
final.
Final, yeah. Lost in the final of the playoffs.
Yeah.
You're on the canvas, weren't you? And then you come back and you start straight away in next season, so you must be really pleased.
Yeah, over the moon, because I'll be honest with you, when I went in there with fifth bottom, everybody was like worried that the club were going to get relegated. They really was worried, but lo and behold, there was no relegation that year.
Yeah.
But no
one knew that.
No one knew that at the time, and I just said, listen, I'll come in. I'll definitely steady the ship, but that's it. That's all I was. And then have a build for next year. They said, oh, please, that's all we want. So I think I came in on the cup game, and I met him on the Thursday, didn't have no influence on the game really, lost the game 3-2 in the FA Cup. Then the next league game, I think we won, and then we drew the next two, then we won. And then it was a loss, win, draw, win, and I just looked at the group, had a little bit of time with them and thought, this is a win one, lose one, draw one team.
Sure.
That's how I felt about the team.
Yeah.
I quickly got a few in, raised a couple of standards of a couple that was already there, and then we just went on a mad run that I don't think I've experienced in football in 21 years really. We took 50 points out of 63, which was incredible numbers, and that got stopped 8 games early, because I think we actually could have, I'm not saying we couldn't have won it. Wealdstone were good, but we definitely could have finished higher than the 6 we did. Because we had all the top 5 still to play within those 8 games. It would have been, and the form we was on, no one wanted to play us, no one. So I remember playing Wealdstone and we drew 0-0 at home, and Dino, I know him very well, a friend of mine, played for me, etc. And he said to me, "You was the one game that we were all dreading looking at, because you was just boom, 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 and we got everyone on it. And Elliot Romaine and Darren McQueen scored 40 goals between them, and we were that good going forward. I think we, in the 23 games or whatever it was, we got 18 penalties. We were that good going forward.
Sure.
So getting that, and obviously beating Slough in the quarters, Havant in the semis, who were the favourites really, and then going to Weymouth, where I felt we were the better side, not massively, just shaded aside, but had the better chances, if you want to call it, and then lost on 3 of the worst penalties you'll ever see in the history of football. I've never seen nothing like it. You can miss the target, but all 3 penalties went out of the stadium down the road in the car park, which was hard to take, really hard, and it hit me, really hit me. No, we wasn't expected to be there, but when we got there, I felt it was our time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because of the way we done it.
Cool.
But it wasn't to be, and that took a lot out of me.
Really?
A real lot out of me. Yeah.
Wow.
Because I'd already lost 3 playoff finals before that.
Yes, I know. Yeah, I did want to mention that.
And won the year before at Welling.
Yeah.
So that really knocked the piping out of me. 2 weeks I was like numb, to be honest. Really numb, and really affected me. Then I had a good chat with Tony, and he said, "Listen, we get back on it." It was all good, and then I started to rebuild again, and it's annoyed really because I signed a nearly 3-year contract at the time, and I ain't had a chance to get going. Do you know what I mean? So I'm going into my last year now. So without having a fair crack, if you like, I couldn't do no more than what I've done.
Sure.
And then sort of this year started off really, really well. I kind of try to put teams together that I know some of the players that I sign are like influenced by supporters. They're not say showboaters, but they want to do bits in front of fans and all that. And to have none, I didn't realise how bad that was. You hear it of all managers saying, "Oh, is this the 12th man?" But you don't realise in your own environment that having no fans, how much it affected us.
Yeah, you really felt that? Did you really?
Yeah, really felt that. Do you know what I mean? Really felt that. I could hear on the far side of the pitch, someone coughing when the ball would go over. You could hear someone coughing. That's how it was silent. It was, when the stewards used to throw the balls back. But it really affected us. As in, we ain't reached those standards that we played last year. But yet, we've been top most of the time and second. But that affects us. You can't play football without fans. It's crazy.
But I'm jumping to the Premier League a little bit, but I'm a West Ham fan, and I feel that the supporters not being there helped West Ham, and that's where they are now.
I think that's different at different places. I agree with that. I agree with that, Gal, because expectations are different, and the 100%. Way fans used to get on players' backs, and certain fans are worse than others.
Of course.
Places like Whitehall, for example, you could be losing 5-0 and they still be singing your name. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's certain places that get on your back, and I think that no back on West Ham, they've just thrived on that and just gone on and on. Top 5 and challenging for the 4th place sort of thing.
And I think some teams in the National League South are like that. Maybe I may be out of order saying this, but Hungerford maybe, St Albans, I'm not sure. They may have been where they are with no supporters, mate. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I mean Hungerford is a surprise package, but done ever so well. Like manager there.
Robinson.
I've seen him over the years, but never sort of been on the pitch side with him, and he wrote some really nice things when we played him about me, and something.
Yeah,
I would never have ever known that he's watched me from afar. And
no, he's a very nice. He's a very nice fella.
He put a comment in. I think it's in his programme that if I die achieving half of what he's achieved, I'll be a happy man, sort of thing. And I thought, whoa, I don't really know him, and I think that's very respectful. He's been very respectful, done an unbelievable job there. From considering they were relegated last year, but got the stayed up. He's done an incredible job. And I think there's a lot of people, Ian Hanson's done an incredible job this year. Never been as high as with St Albans what he's done now, and only lost 1 game, I think. So Dorking done ever so well. There's an Eastbourne done ever so well.
Yeah, Eastbourne. Well, they had a surprise package. I'm not sure.
I think what helped Eastbourne, it didn't start the greatest, but what you can easily do in this division, as in not easy, but if you win 4 or 5 games, it just changes the whole look of everything. And I think if you look at their last 4 or 5 games, they've won 4 out of 5 and drawn 1. So their 13 out of 15 points has just gone and flipped them straight in there, and that's on merit because they've done well. Chris Whelpdale's been their best player, standout player by very, very good signing. I know he's Sergio's best friend, or very close to being Sergio's best friend, and I think he moved to Brighton area or somewhere around there. That's how they ended up getting him. But still at 30, maybe 30 odd, but he's still very, very good and big influence on them. And when you've got that, and you've got the Jason Prize, and you've got goal scorers like that, you've always got a chance. And that's where I felt with our group this year, we've got good players. We've had forwards, but it ain't quite worked. So all of our goals have really come from everybody else, barring them. So I do believe, but if we'd have had one of those top goal scorers, we'd have gone clear.
Oh yeah,
we'd have absolutely 100%. Gone clear.
Oh yeah.
So for us to be where we were without someone on 10, 15 goals, Hungerford are where they are, who've done really well with Ryan Seeger, 13, 14 goals.
Sure.
So all these sort of top sides had that one that was scoring the goals, and we didn't. So you learn something from it. I was desperately trying to tweak it, change it. Is with contacts. I brought in Femi from Stevenage, played Football League this year, 7-8 games, and we got him going, but couldn't get a tune out of him. Didn't score in 7-8 games for us. That's a Football League player.
Sure.
Chris Dixon came in. Very vast experience, was banging in goals left, right and centre, the league below. Came in, scored 2 on his debut. Thought, here we go. Scored 2 against Slough. Scored 1 more penalty after that in 11 games. So we were trying it. And that's the only thing we've really tweaked. The rest took care of itself. The centre halves are probably as good as anything in the division. Pairings, partnerships, keeper, decent. But midfield, central, good. Just couldn't get that bit right at the top.
And they're nuggets, aren't they? Finding one of them, 25 goals a season.
But we thought we had them in, and I'm not here to, like Jack Barham worked his socks off. It just want to try and never cheated you, to give everything they could. But it just didn't work.
Sure.
So to be where we were all season without that goal scorer, I think it's testament to them boys in front of no fans. When the way we were going, we were getting 1,500 and beyond that. That's a big difference. Big difference.
Definitely. Funny enough, talking about players, I think you only used 24 players in the 18 weeks of the season. So who was looking to be, or you might think, or were looking to be your player of the season? That might be a bit of a difficult question. Yeah, it's.
I think.
As you just said, no one was standing out as a.
No, I think,
unit.
Unit. Centre halves. I think Tom Bonner again. Was my player of the year last year. We didn't get to do a presentation because it was cut short.
Sure.
Player of the year last year for me, from when I went in the club to I left. Built a good bond with him. Gets me, understands me, and he started off again. It just he gets the level of performance that is 7, 8 out of 10 every single week, come what may, and that is.
What you want.
What we want. We had 3 very, very good centre halves for the league. Very good centre halves. We had 4, but we let one go out to Dulwich.
Yeah,
and he changed their fortunes.
Yeah.
And I watched him in a few games for them, and he did ever so well for them. So Tom Bonner was probably my standout, as in you knew what you were getting every single game.
Yeah.
One of the top scorers in our division was Jacob. In our league, in our team was Jacob, who could just pull brilliance out of nowhere.
Skillful player.
Yeah, very, very good player. Very, very good player. But consistently up and down. So I'll go with Tom Bonner for what he did first half of the season, definitely.
Sure. Steve, I don't want you to ask me what players you're going to go for this next season, but obviously you watch so many games. In the National League, is there any players that if Dartford said to you, yeah, you can go and get him, was anyone stood out this season from other teams that you were like, oh yeah, he could do a job for Dartford?
Yeah, definitely. I ain't going to give you the names.
You don't know the names. Okay, fair enough.
They'll all be after him.
Yeah.
No, but there's good players that will enhance what we're doing.
But would they come? That's.
One thing with Dartford, we're not the worst payers, we're not the top payers, but we pay okay.
Yeah, sure.
And you know your money's there every single week. So that's a big plus, because there's some places that are not.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. At clubs, you know, they've always sometimes don't pay the players, or they hit a financial problem, or they whatever. Dartford is on the money. That's why all them things are tick for me. I felt there's people wasn't playing to their levels this year, even though where we are, and that's why I said that's how remarkable it is that we were where we were for so long. We're not playing to our capabilities. So, and facts are facts and stats are stats. I always say that's my biggest thing, and we didn't score enough goals. So there's no thing, not going to hide behind the fact we need forwards.
Sure.
And that doesn't mean that any one of those forwards that end up leaving the club are not going to go somewhere else and banging. It happens time and time again. You know, you can let a player go and he'll go and score 20 goals somewhere else.
Yeah.
But it just hasn't worked for you. So, if I'm honest, a couple of wingers maybe, and a few other positions. So, we're definitely going to be stronger than this year. This season just gone. We will be better for it.
Sure. Wow. So watch this space, really. So look, I know some people are starting pre-season in 5 weeks' time. You know, I spoke to one manager, and they're talking starting pre-season in 5 weeks' time. When are you looking to get back? And obviously, you already said you're looking to add to your squad. So what have you said to your players? How long they've got to rest in, or?
No, there's been no real communication with them just yet.
Okay.
We only got told, obviously, we played last Saturday. We played QPR last Saturday.
Player friendly, yeah.
Yeah, so that was it. From that point,
we
stopped. We'll probably be back in July. We won't come back in.
So it'll be like a proper pre-season, not early.
No, don't need to. Back in July, so they've got
a lot of time.
3-4 months off. But the players I'm going to keep are ones that I know are 100% looking after themselves.
Sure.
Because at least 4 or 5 of those players can go in the Football League for me. They're at good ages, 22, 23. Have got the capabilities of going higher, definitely. So they will automatically look after themselves.
Sure. So obviously next season, is it going to be? Do you feel it'll be the same teams that be pushing for promotion? The Dawkins, the Dartfords, the Havants. Slough Town was there once, but now they're not there. You know, is it going to be the same? Do you feel, or what?
I don't know. I know certain clubs probably need. I don't want to speak out of turn because I wouldn't. I don't do that. You know, everyone looks after their own clubs, but I think some clubs will need an overhaul. I've spoke to managers in this division that have personally said that to me. I wouldn't out them on here, no chance. But there is managers in the division that I've had good chats with, and they will change a lot of personnel within their group. They feel they got the wrong people, wrong individuals.
Okay.
Some they've had players for a long time, and they feel they need to change that.
The Masons of the world, you've got Maidstone, you've got I'm trying to think of the other team I just thought of, but you know, these sort of teams that just. I think it's a brilliant league. I love the National League South. I think it's a brilliant league. Nobody, you said earlier, no one can walk in and say we're going to get 3 points today. Everybody can beat everybody. And next season, if everything goes to plan, hopefully with the health-wise, I think it's going to be such a hard league to win, and a very competitive league as
100%. They all are. They're all hard.
Because you've been, how many leagues you've been in? Not being rude, you played at manager at a higher level. That is one of the better leagues, I would no doubt. Is it?
100%. Yeah. You know, I'm fortunate to win it. I've won it, and
of course,
and won it by a lot of points. To be fair, that year we were that special that year. But they're teams like Cambridge, Newport, all that sort of clubs in it. They're proper Football League clubs, aren't they? When we won it, so it was tough. And that year, Eastbourne went up via the playoffs that year. So it is a tough league, and for me, back then there was what I would say 6 or 7 real good sides, and you were going to places thinking, no, just we're going to get 3 points there, we're going to win that. But now you can't say that. You can't say that. Again, it's an old cliche, but anyone can beat anybody on a day.
I forgot about Ebbsfleet as well. You know,
Ebbsfleet as well. There is clubs that feel that they definitely, if you had their managers being honest, they would feel they've underachieved. Definitely. And a few would sit here and go, they've overachieved. Definitely. without question about that.
So we're talking like we're just sitting around the table now. We're talking. It could be like 10, 11 teams could be pushing for promotion, playoffs, and that. What a strong
If
league
not
that
more.
is.
If not more. If not
Nearly
more.
half the league. That is over half.
If you add the 7 or 8 that are in there, and this is Oxford City's best ever year in this league, and absolutely flying.
They were worried. I think they could have.
They could have done damage because
Definitely.
4 or 5 goals for the last 5 games on a row. They had scoring. They may lose their best player, in my opinion, James Roberts. I think he would go to the Football League. I think they turned down an offer from, I heard it was Grimsby or someone during it, but he will go on again.
Cool.
Played Oxford United, he was there,
Yes,
played
that's
number.
right.
I picked him from second game that I knew he'd be gone. He's one for me, he'd be gone. So they could keep that group together. He was the talisman for them, for me. He's still young and could go on. But I think they're another one that's surprised because normally they're a mid-table side and have a good cup run, that sort of side. But now they've really fancied it. David Oldfield's gone in, had a good year.
Yeah.
St Albans, normally start off well and then tail away. But this year, boom, 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 win. Only conceded 10 goals this year, 1 defeat. So they was not surprised, but to do what they done, I think you speak to Ian again, been around the block, knows it all. If you said to him after 16, 17 games, whatever they played, we'd only like 1 defeat, he would have ripped your arm off. Do you know what I mean? So, he got them going. They were flying, and obviously Dorking were flying, and Eastbourne had a great run last 5-6 games. So.
Hampton, Richmond, Borough.
Hampton, Gal's done a great job there.
McCann,
Done a great job there. And you think of that, and then you think the teams that you're not mentioning that you would normally mention in that scenario. Do you know what I mean? So it's a tough old league. So.
Yeah, I'll get you in before the season starts, and hopefully we can have a chat, how you prepare to, because like I say, it's a very hard league to win, and if you do win it, you've done a damn good job, haven't you?
Yeah, it's tough.
It's a tough one, definitely. There, right? Look, I've known you now probably 2 seasons, and we've got to talk like we have done. You've done a bit of co-commentating with me as well, but I don't know you that well. But you've been around 21 years. You've been in the game now, have you? Managing 21. You used to play back in the day. Obviously, we all played back in the day, and but you've been manager for 21 years, have you?
Yeah, started at Dulwich as youth team manager under Martin Eade. Then became his assistant. Done really well in the first year as youth team manager. Won competition, the league, and etc. Then Martin was the chairman, manager.
Yeah, that's right.
So I went with him. He said, come be under me. I sort of got some good players in for him, junior caddy and people like that. Players that went on to the Football League. And at that time I thought Martin, because I still speak to Martin now, he rings me, and I thought I was going to be the first team manager. That was the plan. He was going to step aside, getting on with the chairman, I'll be the first. But because we were doing really well, the seat firmly got under the table, so that never sort of materialised. And I always, at that point, I thought, you know what, the way I relate to players and understanding of the game, they're the ones that win you stuff, players, and the understanding of them. So I asked him, would he give me a reference, because I'd never managed at senior football. I knew some good people in the game that were very good people in the game, like top managers for them levels, Billy Smith, Gary Hill, Terry Brown. So all them had done fantastic non-league, fantastic, the best really. So I'd helped all 3 of them in different ways with players, recommended players, and the players have done really well for them and all gone on, and so they knew I knew a player straight away. I knew a player, knew from talking to me, I understand the game as well. And I said, look, I'm going to go for a job, would you guys mind giving me a reference? All 3 of them wrote a reference. Even Martin, he gave me a reference. I went to Lewis and had give me an interview. Got him through Terry Paris. Didn't know anybody there. Never been to the town in my life. It was just a unique town.
Yeah, Sleeping Giant.
Yeah, unique town. Didn't think the town was like just strange town. Never been there. And had a meeting. Had a board of people in there. I was quite nervous. There was like a table, and it was like 10 people round it in firing questions. I was like, well, like, this is, wow. I was sort of surprised. And the big thing for me, that them guys give a reference, and I'd say 80% of the people around the table didn't know who those guys were.
Yeah.
But the ones that mattered knew who those guys were.
Sure.
So if they were speaking that highly of you, this guy must have something. I didn't think nothing. I didn't think I would get the job. I thought an ex-Brighton player would get the job, because there was Brighton players going for the job. And then I got a call the next day after the meeting saying, can you come back to where you were the next day or day after? We'd like to speak to you again. So I thought, yeah, didn't think nothing. I didn't think, I thought at best I was going to say thank you very much.
Yeah.
So I got there, and there was only 4 people there, and I thought, right, so this must be the decision makers. There was Martin Elliott, there was Kevin Powell, the accountant, there was Terry Parris, and there was Steve White. And they said, how would you do this? And I just explained, I would do I liked it. And they said, we want to offer you the job. I was like, whoa. Inside, I was like, the heart was going. I was like, right, yeah. But we've only got X, Y, Z. And I said, listen, my first job is never about the money. It was costing me to be the manager, because I was living in Sutton and I was travelling to Lewes backwards forwards 3 times a week. And I said, but I'll make you a team that the town will be proud of. And because I was pulling in players from Man United, it was mad. I had a guy called Mark Whiteman, who was the top scorer in the whole of Sussex, and he played for Man United.
No, yeah.
And he was playing with Van Nistelrooy up front. So I knew all these players, and when they trust you and respect you, players will come and play for you. And I said, listen, I know it's not the level you want to be, I get all that, but this could catapult you, blah, blah, blah. So we built a team that they'd never seen football like it. Never, ever seen football like it. And I remember the first game we had, I remember going to the ground, and the head of the Supporters Association, he was on the pitch when I was walking around. He said, who are you? Literally spoke to me like that, literally. Who are you? I said, the new manager. He went, we don't want you here. You're a boy from down south. We don't want you here. I was like, well, I said, I bet you one thing, you won't be saying that to me at the end of this journey.
Yeah.
So he's so it's strange, the story of him. I've become going to be his best man at a wedding soon. So strange story. But I said, fine. I said, but you'll see players you've never ever seen. So they just missed out that year. I think Bognor missed out to Bognor. There was a goal difference in it. They had a manager called Jimmy Quinn, not the Jimmy Quinn that usually another Jimmy Quinn, and he'd done a great job of them. So they just missed out. So I had to be careful what I did, whether I chopped the whole lot or didn't. But what I did, I kept 3/4 of what they had and just put some dust on the top. Top players way above the levels.
Yeah.
Junior caddies and Mark Whiteman's, Dwayne Clark, Peter Adenyes, all players that are way above that level. So when we went to have our first game, the head of the supporters guy come to me and said, if you can start off by winning this game, I'm telling you now, this club, you've gone a long way to straight away, because this derby against Horsham is a big rivalry.
Big derby, like
big rivalry. And they had the manager called John Maggs was the manager. Been there years. So we played the game, we beat him 6-0. And John Maggs said to me after that game, he said, you're going to absolutely win this league, hands down. Blah, blah, blah. And from that moment, we won that division. We had to go into a thing where you had the South, the Ryman South against the Ryman North, because they were restructuring the league.
Sure, yeah.
So it was like a Champions League thing. So Yedding won their division over there, and it DJ Campbell playing, Marvin Morgan. They had some big players in that team. And we went and beat them 1-0. They hadn't been beaten all season. We went and beat them 1-0. And then we got to the playoff. We had to win another 2 games, Basingstoke. And then if we beat Basingstoke, we had to play Kingstonians in the final. So we beat Basingstoke 4-1. And then we beat Kingstonians in the final at our place, 1-0, which catapulted us 2 divisions.
Okay, yeah.
So we went on from there, 2 divisions there. We got in the playoffs 2 years on the sprint. We finished 3rd and 4th. Couldn't play. Stadium wasn't up to standard. The league wouldn't let us in. But then it used to be just 4 in the playoffs.
Sure.
So whoever was playing us got a bye to the final straight away.
Yeah.
So it was after the second year, I thought, you know what? I've done everything I can here. I'm wasting my time now, as in we can't progress as a club. And I think the owner pulled me aside and said, listen, please just give me 1 more year. 1 more year, I'll get the ground to the levels that you needed to get to. So I said, okay. So we give him 1 more year. We won the Conference South by 9 points, I think it was. Eastbourne, I think the 3rd or 4th place were 21 points behind us. That's how big it was. We had a fantastic side. And I remember on the interview when he said, this is a rugby town. The accountant said to me, this is a rugby town. You're never going to get more than 250 fans. So I said, well, if we can get the product right, we will.
Sure.
So there was gates, and this is no exaggeration. We had 4,000 against Eastbourne Borough at Christmas.
Another local derby.
4,000. I could look from the dressing rooms and see all round to the train station where the queue was to get into that stadium. And I think we averaged about 1,300 that year, considering it was a rugby town and only 200 people we thought we were going to get.
Yeah.
Obviously got promoted that year. The day before we were going to lift the trophy, they called me in on a Friday night, which was strange to me to spoil the day what was going to be on the Saturday to lift the trophy.
Sure.
Called me in on the Friday night and said, look, we can't keep you. I was like, what? Just promotion, just going to win the championship, going to lift the trophy. Said, look, we financially can't afford to carry this on in the next level.
Well, some clubs happen. It does happen, doesn't it?
Yeah, so the team was too good for the infrastructure.
Sure, yeah.
So he couldn't afford it, which he was a lovely man, Martin Elliott. Lovely man. And I felt his pain a lot, and not at the time, because I thought, what have you done to me? I built this club, it was my club, and He got the job, got him relegated.
So that's
relegated again, and that was it. Every single player left the football club when I left. Every single player. Some went Football League, and some went and played Championship. Every single player left, so that's how I ended up.
That's how you started then, mate.
Yeah,
well, interesting, very interesting. Right then, so that's us done for tonight, mate. Really enjoyed your company. Thank you for coming over and being on my first show, the Gary Pascoe show. I really enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the evening.
Yeah.
And going to do a lot more shows in the next few weeks and months. So keep an eye out on our media platforms at Gary Pascoe 04 and at Your Instant Replay. So make sure you keep a lookout for those, and we'll let you know when our next guest will be coming on. So once again, it's a good evening for me. Stay safe, and once again, thanks, Steve, for coming.
Cheers, Gary.
All the best.